Hello, hello. I think there is sound now. Confirm? Yay! Cool. Thank you for letting me know before I started rambling for an hour. Low volume. See if I can fix that. Right. I don't know if I can change the volume. Let me switch. They have a new headset, so all of my settings are a bit different now. Hello, hello. I'm always leaning back. It's my default state. But yeah, I think maybe I just need to put the microphone a bit closer. Yeah, someone did notice I don't have the cat ears anymore. Yeah, my cat ears headset kind of broke. Its microphone stopped working for some reason. So I got this one, which is actually wireless, so I'm really glad for the upgrade. Yeah. I think so. The volume is already at a maximum here in OBS. I don't know if. Hello. Yeah, I don't think there's any volume for like recording though, that I can adjust. Sound settings, microphone. Okay, yes, that's a big difference. Yep, there you go. I think this is better. Is it too much? Yeah, the Grim Shell is now deaf. Okay, I'll drop it to 65%. I think this is gonna be much better for the volume. Good, 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 good. Right, technical difficulties. We apologize, everybody, but I think we're there. All right, let me check. We are ready to go. So, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. We will be talking about all the new exciting changes that we have brought to the Forge in the last month and a half, I think, almost maybe 2 months since our last update. Because yeah, it was, Christmas, New Year, Hanukkah. I don't know what other vacation, but basically most people were off on vacation during the New Year period, and yeah, we didn't want to have like one uh, right in the middle of New Year, so we just skipped and delayed to also give us a little bit of time to just work through some of the changes that we had in line in the pipeline, just to get you this developer update with some really exciting things to discuss. There was also quite a bit of time wasted on, well, I wouldn't say wasted, but spent instead of working, just following up with the whole OGL fiasco that Wizards of the Coast dropped on the entire community. I am sure that you have all heard about it, and we will definitely be talking about it. So yeah, let's start with that actually. Obviously, I could be ranting for the next couple of hours about this. I'm gonna avoid, at least try to avoid ranting about the OGL for too long. But let's just say that to summarize it, we hated the new OGL proposition. Obviously, like everybody else, it was absolutely unacceptable, nightmarish. The whole situation was just bad, and I'm just extremely happy that it got resolved in a most positive way in the end. Obviously, um, from our side, we didn't really feel like we were uh, covered by the OGL itself, because we don't, provide like stat blocks for a goblin. We don't provide like features for a paladin or whatever. We don't actually use the content from the SRD itself for our services, but we are in the VTT space, and it still does affect us one way or another. And we are also a marketplace, and we want to do things for our creators. We want them to feel like they can release their stuff without any issues, and we want the community to, you know, um, foster this kind of relationship where everybody's open and helping each other. And the OGL was just a huge, huge break to that. And I mean, we were extremely disappointed, to say the least, and angry. Of course, we were definitely angry at seeing that. Um, the original leak, and let's just be honest, it was not a draft. It was an actual leak of the OGL that was sent out to publishers to be signed. So you can't call it a leak when you actually send it out to people to sign it. And unfortunately, I feel like there's probably some people who did sign it. So I don't know what the situation for those people is. But yeah, um, in the end, they released a second one, um, um, the OGL 1.2 as they called it, which was technically a draft and asking for the feedback of the community, and that was at like on the surface it looked like a better deal. It looked acceptable, but like you read it a second time, a third time, and you start seeing things that aren't quite right. Um, and I felt and we felt like many people in the community felt like it was an even more dangerous um, contract license that they tried to push because it looked good on the surface, it looked acceptable, but there were so many caveats in it. And as a license, which is technically a legal document, it could be very damaging if you don't get a lawyer's opinion that can tell you the actual issues behind it. And I know that, even if in the end we came out winning with the Creative Commons solution that came out, I know that many creators have actually spent thousands of dollars on lawyers to get advice to understand the situation and all of that. So there's definitely like it wasn't just uh, we won just like that. A lot of money was spent on lawyers, and a lot of time and effort was spent on understanding this situation, the license and all that it implies, and a lot of stress. Also, unfortunately, a lot of people were scared of losing their livelihood, and um, overall, it was just a very bad thing that Wizards of the Coast tried to push. Um, we're just glad now that they retracted, and in the end, we came out in a better position than we initially were in. So that's great. We were preparing actually a blog post. I'm going to show you a little preview of that. Um, yeah, OGL, oppressive, greedy liars. Um, there wasn't much written there, but basically we were providing the answers that because, well, when I say we, I'm talking about me personally, but I'm as a representative of the Forge. Um, I I filled the survey, and it's very ranty towards Wizards of the Coast, and it's a lengthy response that basically, if I was to summarize that, basically I'm saying that there is no way that you can deauthorize the 1.0. That's just unacceptable. Um, Under no circumstances, you just cannot deauthorize a license that was meant to always be irrevocable. So for me, that's a non-starter. It's a deal breaker. It doesn't matter how good the OGL 1.2 is. 1.0 should just always be there. And one of the things that I said is, if you want to um, make people sign 1.2, then you need to provide incentives, and then people will have the choice between 1.0 and 1.2. That will always be there, but then they might decide to use 1.2 because it brings in that extra incentive, like that badge, for example, which I thought was kind of a good idea, because you can get that D&D logo on your book, which is nice and it's recognizable. It's better than the 5e logo, which I personally don't like as much, obviously. But then it's up to the creator to decide, hey, do I want the D&D logo, and am I ready to accept whatever terms are in the 1.2 just for putting that logo, the creator badge, on my book on the front page? If yes, then they have that choice. If it's just not a good enough incentive, then they'll choose 1.0, and that's the end of it. And Wizards of the Coast have no right to say, well, now you can't use 1.0 because we decided and changed our mind. So that was one of the things that I provided as feedback as well. Um, there was a question about how can we make this better, and I told them it's not our job to tell you how to make it better. You lost the trust of the community. It's up to you to figure out how to get that back. But the virtual tabletop policy was an absolute nightmare. Obviously, it was a big issue because it was a policy. It was not part of the license, which meant it could change at any time. And let's not even get into that whole, if you have an animation on the screen, then you're a video game and it doesn't, you're not covered. And it was just like a way for them, I believe, to push um, their own VTT and just kill all the competition. One thing that I would recommend for anyone who isn't aware of the situation is to check opendnd.games, check the open letter, and it explains kind of all of the issues that there were. Um, so go ahead and do that. I don't know, maybe by a show of hand, who is still interested in seeing our response to the survey? Because I feel like it's maybe a little too late now, and I don't know if it's worth it to still publish it. It might be, but uh, who knows? Um, right. And so, yeah, check out OpenDND. Check out the Orc license from Paizo, who announced their own license that they are going to be releasing, that should be system agnostic and not owned by any specific uh, company. Several competitor systems have also announced something similar, like Black Flag from Cobalt Press. Um, and I think what made the biggest difference is that everybody started unsubscribing to D&D Beyond, and that showed this solidarity um, from the community and from the majority of people who just um, did not want um, to you know accept what Wizards of the Coast were doing. Um, so yeah, that's about it. There's like a ton more things that I can talk about. I'll do something that we generally leave to the end, which is the FAQ portion of the discussion. So I want to interact a little bit more with the Twitch chat on this and see if there's any questions that we can, have a little bit of discussion around the OGL situation. Um, right. So let's see. Uh, okay, I see some discussion around AI. Uh, Yeah, it is the perfect time to be making content. Um, I think we can also wait for the ARC Open RPG content license to be released by Paizo, um, and see what your content should be released under. Either, the new Creative Commons SRD 5.1 or the ORC license with Paizo's content. Um, on that note, actually, with Paizo and Pathfinder, um, it it was more than just cancel D&D games, D&D Beyond subscriptions, but it was also a lot of canceled D&D games. Um, my personal game with one of our moderators, who is the DM, um, we as a group just said, you know what? We are so disgusted by the situation. We just don't feel like playing D&D anymore, and we are shifting to Pathfinders 2. So I started learning about Pathfinders 2, which is really interesting. I actually quite enjoy so far what I've seen of this system. Our first session is going to be this Sunday, so I am excited for that. I'll be playing a code breaker, obviously, investigator. So that's hopefully that's a good class choice. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm excited about that. And we've seen a lot of people shifting their games from D&D to Pathfinder, or other systems. There's more than Pathfinder. There's all sorts of systems out there, and this OGL situation has definitely helped the greater community realize that there's not just D&D. There's other systems, and even though we knew that, we were for like a majority of people, because I think like 80% of tabletop RPG gamers are playing D&D. Um, the majority of them were like, "Oh, I'll just play D&D because it's the most popular." But now we're thinking, well, doesn't matter if it's popular or not. I just don't like it anymore. So let's boycott that game and play a different system. Um, and yeah, we've seen that shift. I don't know if you've seen the tweet from Pathfinder, who said that their 8 month supply of books has sold out in 2 weeks, and they're struggling to just ship everything to everybody because of the huge demand that just poured into um, buying the Pathfinder books. So, you know, um, from our side, I just want to take like a second um, to thank the community. thank everybody, all the players, all the DMs, all the creators, everybody who was involved in this massive social movement of revolt against the act of Wizards of the Coast of just trying to basically seize control of the community and destroy creators' livelihoods. And thank you for just speaking out, filling that survey, and um, just making the change happen. Because I did not think that this was possible. That by simply showing um, your thoughts in such force, that we would be able to change the corporate decisions on a company as big as Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro, and because obviously those decisions were coming from the top, um, and the people actually at D&D Beyond, or actual people at Wizards of the Coast who care about the game, probably did not have any hands on that, or were as much victims as we were. So um, you know that's great. Um, all right. Let's see. All right, switching to the next order of business, which is another, you know, depressing topic. Um, we are aware of some server issues that were happening towards New Year. Just wanted to talk about that happening a little bit. So it was not really outages, but it was chronic slowdowns that were happening during peak usage times. So, during the weekends, or like around 8, 9 p.m. EST, when most people started to play, you'd see a degradation of um, the performance, especially and specifically for loading into your game, where it might take a few minutes instead of a few seconds to load into a game. We were aware of that, and we were looking into that nearly every day, trying to find why it was happening. I personally was testing, multiple refreshes of a rather large world, and testing, how long it takes, and even during my vacation and my weekends, I would do that multiple times during those peak hours. As soon as I noticed the issues, I would be doing a little trick behind the scenes that just kind of resets um, that and fixes it. Although some people were getting caught and were seeing the slowdowns before I was able to act. Um, and we've been investigating kind of the cause behind it. We don't know yet the exact cause, but we did change some configuration issues on our load balancers, which has completely resolved the issues. And now for the past 2 weeks, things have been extremely stable, extremely fast. Even like compared to before, things have been extremely um, uh, fast in loading your games. And um, when it used to be, depending on various factors, your game could load, let's say between uh, 5 and 10 seconds. Now it would be a very, very reliable 5 seconds, obviously depending on your connection speed and the world size, etc. But taking like that 5 to 10 seconds as an example here, obviously. Um, so yeah, very, very happy with the end result. We are still, however, investigating the root cause of it to kind of figure out, could this happen again? Um, why did that change in configuration have the effect that it had? Because even the previous configuration should not have caused any of those slowdowns. So why did it? So that's something we're still actively investigating, and we hope to kind of better understand the circumstances around it, just to make sure that we are moving forward with the most optimal um, configuration of the load balancers. But yeah, the good news at least is that you shouldn't be seeing any kind of slowdowns now during peak time, and so we're very happy with that. Um, and finally, as I'm still, checking all day, every day on the performance, Saturday was kind of a very bad day, unfortunately, as the Asian servers went down for a few hours. Um, this was not from our side. It was not an issue with load balancers, configuration, or anything like that. It is an issue with actually, let me show you here the status page from DigitalOcean, which is one of our service providers. And as far as they say, it's multiple subsea fiber um, cables in the Asia Pacific region that were damaged, cut, or whatever. So apparently the entire region is currently having kind of packet loss and increased latency issues, and it's still being worked on. As far as I know, they're still trying to repair the cables, etc. But from our side, it doesn't seem to be affecting our games anymore. But Saturday was a bad day, basically, for that region specifically. So we're aware of that. We were, I mean, I personally was there. I was about to go to sleep. It was, I think, midnight or 1 a.m. and I worked on trying to restore services until I think 8 a.m. Just trying to do what I could, and obviously I couldn't do anything. In the end, it just they kind of repair things on their side and it unlocked everything again. But I was trying to find kind of like somehow that may be redirecting traffic somewhere else and things like that. So yeah, that's basically one of the issues that happened. And just to let you know, if you were affected by it or if you were following up on all of that, that it wasn't caused by the recurring chronic slowdowns that we've seen. It's two completely separate issues. But yeah, the slowdowns are fixed, so yay. And now let's get on more positive note. Um, I want to talk to you about a couple of newly released features, um, and we'll start with the assets library. Look at that. So if you are familiar with the assets library on the Forge, you'll notice a little bit of a difference, right? So you will notice, first of all, that now you have this sidebar here that shows you kind of the buttons, everything is there. Um, and let's see if I can show, let's say, perhaps avatar. You can see that on hover, you get the preview right here. Um, you can see that you can sort by size, you can sort by um, all sorts of things. You can switch to details view, which is a very often requested feature. Um, let me just show you maybe my personal assets library that has a ton more content that maybe it would uh, it would help see. So um, especially when you're like that and you want to sort by size, you can see um, where is all your size going, right? What was the last modified file? You can also, of course, sort by file name. Obviously, you can switch ascending, descending. If you have multiple images like this, you can quickly see which one on the left-hand side by just hovering on it. You can now just click to select, which is great, makes it a lot easier to select things rather than having to click that little icon. For folders, you still have to click here to select because folders you click to enter the folder. So it's kind of different. Another cool feature is that you can decide now on how big you want your thumbnail to be. So you can just have big thumbnails here or make it more compact and just no thumbnails, just as an icon. You can do the same thing even with this view. So now you can have large 500 pixel thumbnails. I mean, it looks less good with folders, but yeah. So if I search for like token, oh, and now you can decide if you want to search the entire assets library or if you want to search just um, just a specific folder or the subfolder. So there's all sorts of features here that make this so great. Um, so the sort, the tile versus list view, the thumbnail size. Um, what else? We have the copy, which is a new thing. We have hotkeys as well, so now you can do like Control A to select all, Escape to unselect. Um, you could always do that before, right? So you could use Shift click. Let me clear out the search here. You could use Shift click to select between two spots. Um, select let's clear selection. So if I select this one and then Shift and click here, it selects everything. So this was one of the features we had. Now you will more easily know it because it's written in our new controls and hotkeys pop-up, which is nice. You will also notice a often requested thing is, hey, I want to drag and drop files from my file system, which you could do before. You just had to drop it on this little choose file box, but now we have this drop file here thing, which you can now do. So let's go back to the other account. If I wanted to drop, let's say, this folder here from my desktop. So it's now uploading. So that's the City Guard. Um, it's an asset pack uh, file that was provided by, I believe, Neverending, um, who do great content. And there you go. So it just uploaded them. Um, and I can look at them right here. So there you go, uploads. A nice thing now is also, let's say I've selected this and I want to drop it onto this folder. Now I can move and drop assets here to move them to this folder. And there you go. So now you'll notice that you can do things like that. I mean, you could always move things in that way, but now you can do a move to drop in this folder here. You can also copy, because some people requested that. You can copy content. Um, Even, it will use more of your storage space. But some people do want to have a copy of their assets, um, uh, probably for organization purposes. But now you can copy them as well. Um, so yeah, lots of features, lots of quality of life improvements, lots of small little things um, that I'll let you all discover. But this is our update to our um, uh, assets library. Let's see if there was anything else specifically I needed to mention about it. Um, right. Yes, I did have something else I wanted to mention about it. We do have more stuff coming. So this was a release of what we called internally Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the redesign. And we are now on the Phase 3. So there's still stuff coming, still changes happening. And one of those, for example, would be the ability to select a source. So you should be able to switch this entire view from your assets library to someone else's library via their API key, for example. So yeah, like if someone provides you with an API key, which is a supported way that we have, if you aren't aware, how to share. Let's see. Okay, share assets. Um, Access to your assets library. So if you haven't seen this before, we have the API key manager, which you can get to from your account page, by the way, if you're not aware. And you can create an API key that can have an expiration date. You can decide if it's read only or read and write and things like that. And so you can provide it to your co-DM if you have another DM. If you have multiple DMs, participating in the same world or things like that, then you can share an API key to give them access to your assets library. But then you can only browse and manipulate the assets library from within Foundry, where you have the ability to set an API key. Now you'd be able to do it from within this page itself, which is going to be really great. If you purchase asset packs from the bazaar, um, you will also have the ability to access your asset packs from that UI. So like right now, when you're on the asset pack, you enable an asset pack. You see here it says, this little warning: asset packs are currently only browsable from within Foundry's file browser under the Bazaar tab. And so being able to access them and browse your asset packs directly from this interface is going to also be an interesting way to use this UI for more stuff. So yeah, that's the big update to the assets library. I hope you're all excited to see it. I know that since we released the assets library UI, there's been a slow trickle of feature suggestions, and we've been compiling them for a while now, and we just went through all of them to make sure that we handled what everybody wanted, and just package everything in a way that makes sense for everybody, that gives a great UI, um, without overloading it, without bloating anything. So yeah, there you go. And then next uh, next step in our journey for new updates. So player configuration. So if you are in a game and you click the configure players, you get sent here, and it automatically pops open, which is nice, because before you would just be redirected on this page and you had to click configure players again. So this is a good change. Now you can see everyone who is in your game. You can do your assignments here, and you see little edit icon to tell you that you can edit this player. There's it used to be like a little sidebar on the side, which was a little restrictive to what we could show and how we could do the UI. So we've changed that. Now you have these tabs, so you can see um, um, kind of like, what are you doing? Is it managing players or not? And things like that. Lots of quality of life improvements on this dialog right here. You can also now, that's a new feature, add a new player um, directly from here, which is very useful, and it's something that people have been asking for a while now, in that you create a game and you want to invite your 3 players or 4 players. You send them the invitation link, but they haven't clicked it yet. And as long as they haven't, you don't have a user within Foundry to share journals with, or set permissions on the actors and things like that. So you have to wait until they join the campaign before being able to set those permissions. So with this, now you can create the player and then do all of your DM prep with sharing of specific content and all of that. Like even join game as those other players to be able to um, potentially link, like create hotbar content or whatever. Then once they join, then you can uh, associate the Forge player with the Foundry user that you had previously created. So this is another great new feature. We do plan on adding the ability to delete users. So if you have too many users, then you should be able to delete them from this UI. And another change, I'm not going to show it here though, I think. I'm going to show it on a different one. Is that if you have, I don't want to break that world that's currently on. If you have the user management disabled, you can also see now the users in Foundry and create new users within Foundry, even if the user management is disabled. Um, So that's another big change because you before, um, I mean, all the user management was done automatically if you enable the automatic user manager feature, but um, now obviously without the option you can't, like, it won't create new users, remove them, and all of that, and you can't link the player to the user, but you can at least view the users and create new ones from this UI, which is another little improvements that will probably go a long way for some users. So happy to have that for you all. Um, so let's see. What else? Um, from our side, these are like the two big features that we added uh, yesterday. Basically, we've been working for months on these changes, and we have more in the pipeline, of course, that you'll see hopefully soon. Um, but these are the big two features that were completed, and we managed to push them just in time for this live stream. Um, but there's other changes obviously that happen. So as an example, if you are trying to launch your world and Foundry is uh, is not listening on the port. Basically, this is an issue that we've reported to Foundry a long time ago, back in the V9 days, is that while Foundry is migrating your data because there was a game system update or a core Foundry update, then it would do the migration before it starts accepting connections. So one issue that some users had, especially with the move to V10, that would require that migration, or when the D&D 5e 2.1 release was out, um, it would cause the problem of having um, to wait, and you would get an error that says connection refused, which is very confusing to the users. Like, why is it telling me connection refused? Now we are able to view the Foundry logs live and see, is Foundry currently migrating data or not? If it is, then we are going to be displaying a message to a user that says, please try again in a few minutes because Foundry is currently busy, and it can't uh, let you connect until it's done, right? And on that note, by using these same kind of things that we did in the background, we're able to provide you with this. So as a user, now you can directly go to the Foundry logs and read your Foundry logs if you need to, which can be useful, especially for things like I don't know. I know that it's a lot of information sometimes, but you can sometimes see, oh, when was the last time that I launched Foundry? Or you could check if one of your players connected during the week because, oh, it was launched 2 days ago, and this user logged in, right? I mean, you might not know the user ID. I thought it usually it shows the actual user name. Oh, there you go, for user the forge, right? So you can see who connected when and what. You can see, here there's stuff being installed. Um, so there's a few things that can be useful, but it's mostly also going to be useful when there are issues with Foundry and you want to debug it, or at least provide us with the information of what Foundry is saying in its logs. So uh, that's gonna be great. And another bug that was fixed yesterday was that there was a very rare use case where the two-factor authentication could tell you that you have an invalid code when it was actually valid. And I've been struggling with that specific issue for months now, and we've been doing all sorts of things trying to replicate it and debug it and find the cause, and we finally did. So I'm very happy to say that that should not be happening anymore. Yeah, a very small bug. Honestly, it was like it was so small. The change was minuscule to fix it, but it took months to figure out. So it might not be much. It might be happening maybe once every couple of months for you, or that you would get a invalid two-factor authentication code. You just try the next one, and then it works. But it's been annoying us for a while. So I'm happy to say that it's fixed, even though I know that most of you aren't going to be quite impressed by it. Um, and yeah. Oh, another interesting change is that if you have a custom module installed, um, this is something that I've had to do multiple steps to get to a point where we can do it, is if you have a custom module installed, right? Now you can see for the custom modules, you can see the art as well, which before it would always just say, this generic module icon for all modules that were custom installed and not part of the bazaar itself. But now you get to see that. Um, so yeah, there you go. Um, and I think that's mostly it for all of like the small polishing. We did increase some of the resources that Foundry is able to get access to while it's migrating data or loading large compendiums. So that's also going to be a positive change for users who might be seeing the performance increase. I think it's worth mentioning. Um, but yeah, we've had a relatively busy month despite the vacation and all that. And that's about it. I will now give Destiny the chance to give you a tour of some packages that are available on the bazaar, and we'll be showing off a free package as usual, which I think a lot of people will be very interested in. So as usual, we do have a gift card to give out. So if you can type hashtag giveaway in the chat, you'll be entered into our giveaway. Let me do the post. Where's giveaway? Manage and shout. There you go. So feel free to enter the hashtag giveaway, and we will be switching to the Discord scene. I can hear you, yes. Uh, oh, give me a second, Leslie. People are saying that nobody can hear you. Let me see. I think we had that issue last time. Not sure why. Say something.
Eh,
There you
I'm
go.
not that
Okay.
interesting anyway.
Okay. Its volume is a little too high though, I think. So let me adjust that. Thank you, Dinesh, for letting us know. And
All right.
thankfully, it didn't happen like 10 minutes in, like last time. All right, go ahead, Destiny.
So as I was saying, here we have a nice little map, and it's a nice, and you can see that there's a bunch of cool alchemy stuff. There's potions on shelves. There's tables. There's nice wooden tiling, and there's some rustic wooden background.
Who is
It
this from? Because I think you mentioned
this
it
is
before, but nobody was hearing
Oh yes.
you.
This is Towns and Cities by Brave New Worlds. And it is on sale right now. I believe it was going for something like $17.99 when it's usually $35. So quite the sale indeed, and I'd heavily recommend it, as you'll soon see why. It's a well put together map with pre-set up dynamic lighting, and something I really like about it is that there's about a BNW. BN. Oh, it's not showing up in the. Oh. Hang on. There we go.
Brave New World.
There we go. So, as you might notice, there's about 1 million versions of every map. There's an autumn version. Here, we can just go ahead and import that real quickly and activate it. So, say you don't want winter, you can just do autumn, and now you suddenly have an autumn version of the map. And it's again, it's nice and pre-lit, pre-set up. Walls are set up for your convenience, so you don't have to go through the work of doing all that yourself, even if you have the images. And they have something for just about every little building you could have in a town or a city. Component dealer, so if you need to get your car fixed up, your Saturn Ion patched up, you can go there. A cursed item vendor if you need to sell your parties some cursed items. And there's just all this stuff for every single season and use case that you could possibly want in here, with day and night versions, gridded and non-gridded. Like, look at this thing and look at how many maps you get. It's just obscene, and it's so many maps. I'm just a huge fan of Brave New Worlds for how much stuff they release in each map. And it's perfect if you're the kind of GM who really likes running town or city campaigns, but is dead on the inside and doesn't want to prepare maps anymore for your players. Uh, uh,
That's awesome.
and like any good scene compendium, it's system agnostic. It's usable in 5e as much as it is any of the other systems that you might be trying out. Speaking of which, let's show off our free Bazaar showcase a little early today.
That's awesome.
And that,
It's over 250 maps, so
yes,
that's
thank you.
a huge bundle. So
And
I'm sure you'll find whatever it is you're looking for in there.
and as a reminder, you can find it on the Bazaar. It's on sale right now for about half off, and it's an incredibly useful sale. It's so juicy. I'm probably going to buy this for one of my GM friends if they need it. And if they don't need it, I will claim it for myself. Right.
All right.
So, Pathfinder Second Edition is perhaps one of the best systems within Foundry VTT. I'm not sure how much of that is colored by how neat the automation is in Foundry VTT, but like it's so good. And before I showcase it in full, let me just give a big thanks to all the amazing developers who've worked on this system, and all the and to Paizo for making it official in Foundry VTT, because that was huge. And a special thanks to Cora for offering suggestions on what to showcase. So let's say we want to make a new character. So like we've got a blank new character. You can A lot of this is automated for you. You can add speed types like say a burrow, climb, fly, and swim, and how much that is. If you already know how to craft your player character, you can go ahead and select the ancestry you want. It does it. It has all these automatically. So let's say we want to be a gnome. Uh, we want to drop it in there, not, and there we go. And already it's adding the relevant ability scores, and it'll also add the traits. So you'll see here now my character knows low light vision, gnome, and humanoid traits. It has the languages. We could set up heritage. Maybe he has the heritage of like a a fungus leshy, pretty morbid. But suddenly now you have the fungus trait and you have dark vision as well, along with an additional language and even more stuff. And I could keep going on with this because, in truth, Pathfinder 2e is an example of a system that does such a good job of integrating all the stuff you love when building a character, and it does it in such an easy to use way. My players were 5e heads forever. We had run 5e for 5 years, and we had finished a level 1 to 20 campaign in 5e, as well as several other campaigns. Exactly.
Yeah, it's the
PF2E
same
support
for
is in.
me. Um, Honestly, it's always been D&D, and now I'm looking at Pathfinder. And like I said earlier, we're playing Pathfinder 2E first session this Sunday, and I've been poking at the character sheet and the system, and I've always heard high praises of the Pathfinder system. But seeing it in action and understanding like the game system, how it works, to actually be able to see all the work that went into making it just work beautifully, it's really very satisfying, you know. And they have such an amazing team of many developers working in concert to making it the best system possible. So a huge kudos to the entire team there and to Paizo as well for, like you said, making it official and making it possible to have all of that content freely available um, and distributable in the way that it is.
Yeah, exactly. And you might be asking, okay, so you've shown me how easy it is to make a character, but what about actually playing? Well, here's where it gets juicy. Pathfinder 2e has rules for just about everything. And happily enough, you can find those rules really quickly. They have most of their actual system rules online, freely available for free. And they also have almost every NPC they've ever made freely available online for free. What they sell in their rule books is just a more coherent narrative explaining the rule set for you and the actual adventure content. But you can find all the monsters, all these rule resources, all of it freely available online that you can read through yourself and that they don't keep from you. It's such a refreshing, huge open system, and it really is no surprise that they're the kind of system developer that's spearheading the Orc license. Like, and let me show you the actual gameplay. So, like, let's say Nosferatu enters the alchemy store, and then over up north here, two goblin skeletons come walking in. Combat begins, right? Well, this is where it keeps things simple. If you've ever played Pathfinder First Edition, you'll know that Pathfinder First Edition was a little confusing. It was the first ever kind of D&D-ish system I ever played on. In fact, it was the first TTRPG I ever played on Roll20. Shout out to my GM for accidentally getting me started in this career. And basically it's Pathfinder 1e has all these confusing actions. Pathfinder 2e just makes it simple. You have 3 actions on your turn. 3 actions in combat. It vastly simplifies things because you don't have to keep track of, okay, I used my free action, but did I use my primary action or whatever it is? Did I use my bonus action? All of that? No, you just have 3 actions. So maybe you move as an action, you stride as it's called, and you make 30 feet of uninterrupted movement with your stride, right? There you go. That was one action to move 30 feet over here.
You have to be in combat first.
Yep, that's here. You know what? We'll go ahead and start combat, sure. We'll go ahead and boop. And you see here, it automatically prompts you for fun little modifiers. Now, the nice thing about this is, as I'll show you soon, if these monsters have effects on them, like like they have something that's nerfing them that's applied to their tokens, it'll automatically apply those bonuses. So we'll see here that initiative was rolled. By default, in this system, it's perception. So let's say that Nosferatu wants to attack. Well, he can just attack as an action. So let's see. These guys are, let's say he's at the doorway still, and these guys are 55 feet away. Well, let's see the sling's description real quick. Uh, we'll just go to inventory, and we can see that the range is 50 feet. Let's go ahead and target this guy. And then we'll go ahead and go back over to actions, and we'll attack with the sling. But he's 55 feet away, so he's just out of range. Curious. I wonder what'll happen. Well, we see it's a +5. So let's go ahead and attack. Look at that. It automatically adds the range penalty for you. You can see
Nice.
here that it's dexterity +2, trained +3, and then the range penalty -2. So it's not only automating the stuff for you in the system, it's also showing you how it works, which is genius because it means that if you ever want to take your playing to physical reality, maybe for instance you want to use the forge as like a map, use the forge to help serve as a map host for your games, or maybe you're off our platform, you'll know how the system works. You'll know because the automation tells you how it's working. And let's say that next turn the skeletons do nothing because they're a little confused because this is Nosferatu. This is literally Nosferatu, right? Uh,
Mm,
It's literally. Nosferatu's turn comes around, and he has a few actions. He rages. You can see here all the bonuses he gets, and it'll give it to him. It will automatically apply all these effects and the relevant stuff. He loses 1 point of AC. He deals an additional 2 damage with his melee weapons and unarmed attacks. So let's say he somehow makes his way over here. So we can go ahead and strike, roll it, and okay, hang on. Wrong one. I think it might be this one. Yes. There we go. Oh wait, it's damage, right? There we go.
Right.
And look, it automatically applies that damage. You don't have to manually keep track of this, and it's such a nice. I was I was playing 5e and on Foundry VTT, and I instinctively, because I'd just been playing PF2E, tried to drag the effect over, and I couldn't. I was like, "Oh no!" And my player started screaming, "We've been Pathfinder pilled!" And it's basically that, because Pathfinder 2e just keeps everything flowing so nicely and
Yeah.
transparently showing this all to you. You see this nice little thing about how it tells you how you missed? It hides the AC and the miss from your players, so they just see a miss and an AC. Let's say they have resistance. Like let's give this guy we're even going to give this guy bludgeoning resistance, right? Let's go ahead and roll that damage on him again. Okay, it didn't apply it properly, but you can set it up so that the bludgeoning is automatically applying damage resistance in the automation, which is just so juicy. I think
Yeah.
it's in the system automation.
I think that's one of the good things with the system is that there's so many intricacies, and it's just taking care of all of that so you don't have to remember all of the little rules and all of that. The automation on this system is great. So
Absolutely.
very nice work there.
And you might and it plays beautifully. If you've played 5e, it's not too hard, because the thing about the system is, I'm going to say it's modular. You will slowly discover the rules over time by playing. If you're a player, all you have to do is learn your character's abilities and the basic features of how attacks work. If you make an attack, it's the initial bonus. If you make another attack, you take a 5 penalty. If you
Mhm.
make another attack, it's a 10 penalty. And you slowly start to learn stuff like that as you play the system. And it has all these nice words at the top to let you know that this does double damage to like a creature with the undead trait and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Immunities, resist, all this stuff you'll learn over time. And it takes a system that does have a lot of rules. This has so many more rules than 5e.
Yeah.
It's an obscene amount of rules. But it means you only have to learn some of them at a time. And
I,
that's
I can't
so
wait to play that.
it's so dang easy. And it's been very useful as a GM as well, because instead of having to pour through my paper books, because I only own paper books for 5e, I don't own many books on Beyond. I can just look up online on Archives of Nethys the stuff. And as a final thing, like beyond the rules and all the useful stuff, I wanted to show off some of the nice intricacies of the system and how making the system just slightly more complex enhances combat. Let me show you the difference between a skeleton warrior and a zombie shambler. These are the common undead. They're both mindless. They're both undead. One's a skeleton, one's a zombie. Uh-oh. Let's say you want to throw a skeleton at your players. These have high AC, but they have very low HP. In system, this 10 HP is not a lot. But they are pretty accurate, and they do deal a good amount of damage. Now, in contrast, zombies are slow, and they are pretty easy to hit, but they're bulky because they're not a pile of bones. They're a big sack of meat that's propelled by dark energy and magic. However, even though they're bulky, they're also slow. They're permanently slowed 1. This means they have 1 less action on their turn. They can only make 2 actions. So maybe they're like all the way across. Maybe the zombie is all the way over here, right? And he wants to move 20 feet and then 20 feet because that's his movement, or 25. That's all the actions he has. And that's just a fun little thing because it means your players get to balance that and keep that in mind of, oh, this is a zombie, so it'll be moving slowly, so I can maybe take care of like these skeletons first over here, and the zombie will take another 2 turns if he's starting over here to reach us, so we can prioritize. And you just kind of pick up on this stuff over time, and it adds such a nice layer of tactical complexity that you don't have by default in the 5e system. And I just love that.
Awesome.
Anyway,
Yep.
that's all I wanted to share from the PF2E system. I recommend checking it out. It's free to get started with. Their handbook is incredibly cheap on their website if you get, and you can pick it up digitally. I'm reliably informed that they've sold out their entire 8-month stock of physical books.
Yep.
So you might be a little slow getting that. I just picked up the Game Mastery Guide because I wanted a few more useful tips about creating monsters. And guys, I love 5e. I got started on 5e. Again, I love the natural flow of 5e, and I think it flows just a little more neatly. Uh, uh, I think PF2E's Game Mastery Guide is so more useful than the Dungeon Master Guide. It gives a better guide to creating monsters, it gives a better guide to creating encounters. And I have to move on before I ramble on about it forever. But I think one of the coolest results of this whole OGL nightmare was that people are trying out new systems, that we're getting a new orc license that looks incredibly promising with buy-in from so many people, and maybe take this time, even with 5e now available to everyone forever, to try out some new systems. Uh, let's show off the other 2 packages.
Yeah.
uh, that was just my forever ramble about why PF2E is an awesome system and you should try it. Pathfinder Beginner Box, by the way, very good adventure to get started with, and it teaches you a lot about how Pathfinder 2E works. So this is the world. This is the A World of Flesh package by Ataraxian Bear on the Bazaar. This is a really nice, peaceful map, isn't it?
It looks
Really
beautiful,
cute,
yeah.
really beautiful. Yeah. Give it a second. Give it a second. Now, isn't this lovely? Ataraxian Bear has really knocked it out of the park. Let me show you some of the stuff. So we have so this was the Forest and Flesh tree version. Let me show you the Forest and Flesh not tree version. We'll go ahead and activate this scene. It'll take a second to load in because the images are a little large. Uh There we go. Suddenly, this isn't such a nice, happy little scene. Something's erupting from the ground, sending plant light everywhere. It reminds me of a nice quote from a video game I'm particularly fond of. A world where our children only know the color red.
Oof.
This is a scene, a map package with nice little light-hearted nature imagery, and then horrible flesh and blood boiling up where there was once water and trees and rocks and life. A horrible nightmare that you can use for building your own bloody adventures, and it's great for terrifying your players with. Uh, you can see that a lot of it is pre-walled. There's nice little terrain maps laid down. If you check out some of the other maps, you'll see that they're pre-walled and stuff. It's all set up for you ahead of time, and you can even say you wanted to take some time ahead of time. There's I believe, a non-bloody version of this river map that I'm loading in. You can go ahead and switch the scene images mid-game, mid-play, and suddenly the players can be horrified as the water they're walking across is turning to blood. I can think of a lot of one shots that I could set up using this premise. That'd be really fun. Anyway, if you're a fan of Nightmares content as much as I am, definitely go pick this up on the bazaar. It's only $4.99, incredibly cheap, and just a lovely little Nightmare package.
That's awesome. I feel like, I don't know, maybe not even Halloween. It's something that just doesn't have that dreary look or, dark kind of depressing um, uh, that you generally see with more gory or scary maps, like for Halloween one-shots and things like that. Because this looks very nice and lively and colorful and vivid, but the actual content is like in contrast with how beautiful the maps are, um, with all of that blood and flesh and all of that. So that's really interesting. Um,
Exactly.
I don't know why. It
So,
reminds me a little bit of uh, what's the name of that anime? I forgot the name. Sorry.
Neon Genesis Evangelion. No,
No.
that's a bit of a spoiler. Oh well, everyone's already watched that anime, surely. Anyway, Akira. Yeah, yeah, a little bit of Akira. Oh yeah, the worst. God. Oh man, I just watched Akira for the first time, and it reminds me a little of that.
Yeah, Kira does get interesting towards the end there. Um, but yeah.
Saya no Uda. Oh man, yikes. Anyway, let's move on. We're gonna look at the last package. Oceans, Islands, and Ships by Limithron. I've sung Limithron's praises before, and I doubt I'll ever stop praising it. So we've got this nice little ocean here. You can see that it's got this lovely little bit of moving wave and water just scrolling on by gently through the ocean. This doesn't seem like much, but let's just go over to this nice little scene he's provided as part of the map package. Look at that. We got all these nice little ships. We got this nice little sloop. He's even labeled it so you can so you don't feel dumb for not knowing the name of the boat because he'll name it for you. We got a tiny little lifeboat, a dinghy. We've got a brigantine, and we can go ahead and just copy from this scene, go over to the ocean tile screen and paste it on there, and it'll be tiled correctly for the scene. So if you happen to be running naval combat in your campaign or are just catching up to some pirates you're chasing, you can go ahead and just grab from this scene, copy and paste it, and boop. And look at that. You got content that all matches up, all looks delicious. Your players might come across this horrible wrecked ship here that's kind of beached on a tiny little sandbar full of blood. It's so good. He's very good at making oceanic content, and this is probably one of the best kind of agnostic packages I've seen. Let me show you all the stuff he has. So, you can see he has an archipelago ocean that we could import. We have a big island map that I've already imported that I can load in real quick. And there's all these different samples you can do. Like there's a rock tile map, there's a sand tile map, and there's a bunch of ocean assets that you can drop in. So you can even customize your own scenes as needed for your adventures. Your players could be pulling up on an island like this, and you could run a combat off of this, where maybe some pirates have a base over here, and you've got to figure out how to get over there. You can either go over land, or your players can launch a naval raid from there. And then you've got all these tiles on the map to help show like a fun naval battle between you and the pirates. Uh, Decron up ahead, up above in chat, Kakaroto posted a link to this package. And there's all this stuff here that lets you make your naval campaign yours. It's indispensable. And when I purchased this for my DM running a pirate campaign, he basically used this package almost exclusively. I freaking adore it. It's so good, it's so beautiful. The colors are nice and bright, and it just screams you are a pirate. Limb of Throne, I've talked to him before about his content. He's been inspired a lot of it by the if you've ever read the Watchmen comics, he's heavily inspired by the cartoon and the actual comic from the Watchmen about the pirate and the dread and the sheer terror of the ocean and all the human elements of like corruption and evil and stuff and the darkness inside our hearts. I can't recommend enough all of his packages, but if you're running a naval campaign, I definitely recommend this package. It's 10.99 on the Bazaar Marketplace, and you get a crazy amount of content that you can drag and drop and use anywhere. It's quick to set up. If you're a DM who hates prepping actual material and just wants to write and have your players have fun, it's so dang useful.
Yeah, it
That's
looks
it for
really
my
nice. And I believe Limitron has other naval-based packages. It's not his first one, is it?
No, he has an actual package creating naval rules for 5e that you can use within the package. So it's pretty
Nice.
handy. You can
Awesome.
He also has a bunch of different island maps and stuff. He has about everything you need for a pirate campaign.
That's awesome. Thank you. And
That's Sorry,
go
that's
ahead.
it for my Bazaar showcase. I'd like to thank everyone for bearing with me through my 30-minute spiel about why PF2E is such an amazing system, and thank everyone for watching these cool packages and hope they've piqued your interest. And sorry for cutting you off, Kakarot.
No, I was just gonna say, as you're finishing off, just a reminder, we'll be drawing a $20 gift card. So hashtag giveaway in the chat if you have not done so already, to be sure to be entered into our giveaway. So we'll have that open for a few more seconds, just to make sure any latecomers can still get in on the giveaway. And we just have one more who entered. And then we will be drawing our winners, or our winner rather. Wait, and I'm back. All right. So, hashtag giveaway if you have not done so already, and uh, we're going to be closing the giveaway in 3, 2, 1, and that's it. All right. And I will just draw, and the winner is, drumroll, Dork Ailf. Hopefully they are here with us. Congratulations to Dork Elf. Nice. All right, awesome. So Destiny will be sending you your $20 gift card via message on Twitch. Hopefully he's currently on it. And oops. So congratulations again. You can use your $20 gift card on your Forge subscription or to buy any content from the bazaar, such as the awesome stuff that we just showed today. So congratulations. Thanks for watching us, participating, being here, and yeah, cool. Congrats. And better luck next time for everybody else who did not win. And every time, sorry, every time we do these live streams, we do the same thing with a giveaway. And I know that I believe someone won twice already because they got lucky and they were in a stream that didn't have many viewers. So sometimes there's many viewers and sometimes not. So um, just follow us, and next time you might be the lucky one with a $20 gift card to use on your subscription or on Bazaar purchases, or to give as a gift to your DM or anything like that. Awesome. And now is going to be our QA session. So, yay, we can see the chat now. All right. Thank you. So we'll be starting. Any questions that you have, I am here to answer them. So feel free to ask whatever questions that you might have about our update, about the Forge, about anything, and I'll be happy to answer. No questions? All right, we have a question. Is there any good way to clear unsupported or not updated modules like supported through V8 from the bazaar? Um, Not clear it because we still support 0.7, I believe. And I know that we have users that are still on 0.6 even and who refuse to update, even though we did deprecate some of those older versions. So we do still need to provide those that content there. It would be interesting to um, update our UI because we are working on a revamp of the Bazaar UI. Like you've seen with the assets library, where we've changed quite a bit of stuff, but we're also working in other areas of the site, and the Bazaar is one of them. Um, and yeah, it could be possible to at least have the ability to say um, uh, to hide uh, things that do not show compatibility and to warn of things that are not compatible anymore, so you can potentially uninstall them. That's something that could be um, uh, done in the future. I'll, I'll I'll have Destiny make a note of that. All right. Dinesh M asks, I don't know how it would be possible, but any chance for tools that can help track down misbehaving modules that take a long time to show up? It causes the game to slow down after 30 minutes of playing. For that, you have Find the Culprit as a module that we like quite a bit. It can definitely help with that. Um, Usually, if you have something that's reproducible, and it's not caused by a incompatibility like conflict between two different modules. There's like one module that causes that kind of issues. Find the culprit is great for that. And if you have like 100 modules enabled, it can give like 5 or 6 uh, iterations of testing, and you find the one that's causing the issue. Very easy to narrow it down. Um, KTLand89, can you explain like a 5? Asset packs are currently unbrowsable from within Foundry's file browser under Bazaar tab. That's a good question. All right. Let me actually switch back to my screen and show you. So you have asset packs. Let's say I enable a couple of them. Right. Now, how would you go and actually check out those tokens, those content from these asset packs? Um, you've enabled them, but they're not accessible to you from the SS library or anywhere. So what you would do is you would go to uh, the your actual game, um, and from within Foundry, okay, let's wait for it to load. You can go to the file browser from Foundry. So let's say if you have a you're editing the image, then you have the bazaar here, and then assets, right? You also have it from the tiles menu. You can go tile browser, so the assets like a Merry Christmas, then you have, oh, here are the assets that are part of this asset pack. Then you can drag and drop them and things like that. So the only way to actually access those assets would be from the Bazaar tab within Foundry, not outside of Foundry. So that's what that warning actually means. Hopefully that answers it. Let's go back and see the next question. I love find the culprit, but it doesn't really help with some kind of issues. Wait, whoops. There you go. I was from the wrong scene there. Intermittent one that didn't show up after 30, 60 minutes. Yeah, that's the most difficult with Dinesh. It's that you can't in that situation. It can't work. Hey, where's my camera? Where is my camera? Why is it not showing? Oh, no, can I get the camera to work? I think I need to just stop it. There we go, and then reopen it. Does it work? Does it not work? Come on, NVIDIA broadcast. Why are you doing this to me? I don't deserve this. Camera is busy. Why does it keep doing that? It was working just fine 5 seconds ago. Okay, there you go. I'm back. All right. Let's see. The next question. Uh, yeah, yeah, if it takes like 30, 60 minutes for some issues to start happening, it's probably a module causing memory leak. So that can definitely be a reason. Uh, Question by Repsiot. Can Molinet provide an interface to that? Absolutely. Molinet will actually parse, like if you do like refresh my assets, it is integrated with the asset packs from the Bazaar. I believe we sent them the change or they did it on their side, but Molinet itself does support the asset pack, so you don't necessarily have to go through the file browser in Foundry, but if you have Molinet, it will automatically index all of that content from your asset packs. Next question by Master Flinter. Is there a way to copy entries from one compendium to another in game? I believe you can drag and drop. I'm not sure if you can do an entire pack. I think you can like import all and then export all into a companion pack, but I'm not 100% sure. Um, I haven't done that personally in a while. Okay. Uh, NedRaptor, what are download upload speed limits of the servers? Oh, that's a good question. I'm not actually sure. Because DigitalOcean does not provide that information, which is extremely annoying to me. And one of the biggest reasons why we're moving to OVH for our servers. Um, the New York um, North American servers will be moving soon. This is actually something I haven't mentioned during the live stream. But yeah, we now have servers in North America with OVH. They're not being used, but they are being set up right now. Um, and we are starting that move process. Um, it's been in the works for a while now to just kind of uh, learn from what we did with the European server move to OVH, and we did encounter some issues there that we wanted to fix for this time around, and so we're working on that move. What I can tell you is that from the speed test that we can do and everything, we never really reach more than maybe 20% of the bandwidth limits. So generally, whatever your speed is, it will be maxed out because it's gigabits per second, uh, basically. Um, but it's not a guaranteed speed as far as I know from DigitalOcean. So I don't really know. What we do, however, is have multiple servers acting as load balancers. So we kind of try and keep it at that 20% usage. So if there's any peak, someone with a very high fiber optic connection try to download huge maps or whatever, then they can peak very quickly and not affect anybody. Yeah. Any other questions? No? All right. So, if there are no more questions, I want to thank you again for showing up, for following us, for being Forge supporters and part of our community. And thanks for, um, you know, everything, as Ribsiat said. Um, so, yeah, if there's anything else and all the stuff that we'll be working on, you'll be able to hear about in the next dev update. So I recommend that you follow our Twitch, follow us on Twitter, and all the other social media. And let me do in obligatory drop of our social media links. And there you go. Yeah, it doesn't show up quite well in chat, but that's okay. So yeah, just follow us and interact with us, and we always like to hear what you say. I do have one additional thing I wanted to actually mention, and totally forgot to mention it. We now have a social media manager, a community manager to be more precise. So if you've seen a uptick in our activity on Twitter, that's definitely why. So, for those who have been with us for the last 3 years, you've probably already heard his name, Zlatan, who was with us for a few months about 2 years ago, and he's back now to fill in that same role again of community manager. So you'll see more activity in social media. We'll also be able to do more great stuff for the community. Like we did the art contest about 2 years ago. That was something that Zlatan had initiated. That's Z Grimshell right now in the chat. Um, and so yeah, that's definitely a new hire. We have yet to announce it officially and yet to add him to the about page. Because by the way, Zlatan, I'm still waiting for you to give us that bio that we can so we can add you to the about page. So yeah. Um, but yeah. Oh, one last question by Lectu. Plans to support more languages? Yes, we do. If you check out our last, I believe, developer update, you'll see that we already have support for French, German, Japanese, Spanish, and Portuguese, Brazilian, I believe, and those are currently being vetted and translated using the Weblate project from Foundry Hub. And once we are sure that the translations are in a good state, we'll be adding the option for users to choose their language. But yes, the internationalization effort is done. Now it's just about the translation effort. So if you know one of those languages, I would recommend you go there and let me show you actually. Um, so if you go to our Forge workshop, if you're not aware of this page, it kind of gives you information about the stuff that we're working on. So yeah, we are 26% translated. So you can go and check the languages and help with the translations um, on the Weblate project. So client side, server side, uh, and the common things between all of those. So yeah, you can see like how the translations are done with AI, but they need to be vetted by an actual human because some of those translations are really weird sometimes. So that's why we're not just deploying it like that. And you have, I believe, if you go to the project itself, there's an info here that explains, even if you want, not just how to translate, but also, I believe, how you can. Oh, I don't actually see it. We should oh yeah, there it is. How you can change your language right now using just the command in DevTools. Um, so if I did that, let's say here, right? Just type this, and I have now switched to French. So if I change, now it says Lafarge, Mon Foundry. It's all in French, right? So you can already switch to a different language if you want. Um, you just need to run that command and be able to check out the Forge in a different language, right? Um, so yeah, if you want to help with the translation effort, we welcome your help. Um, Definitely. All right. Let's see what else. Uh, Let the internet do his bio. He'll submit it tomorrow. Crowdsourced. Oh gosh, that sounds like both an awful and a great idea. Um. All right. Well, all right. So that's it. No new questions popped at the last second. Let me just switch my Forge to English again. And on that, I will tell you one more time. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you for being here, and see you next time. Bye bye.